You know, when you play for LeBron, you basically have to be ready to accept the blame when he doesn't win and get no credit when he does win. And announcers, journalists, analysts, they're all way too ready to spew this at the listeners. And then you get brainwashed into thinking, oh yeah, LeBron had no help. So today, let's take a closer look at LeBron's help. Now, his supporting cast numbers, of course, don't look like his numbers. Guess what? They aren't allowed to look like his numbers because they aren't allowed to have the role that he has. As soon as you join LeBron's team, even if you were a superstar before, you now take a back seat. But perhaps more importantly, when you talk about someone being the greatest player ever or the best player on the planet, part of being the best player is making the people around you better. Yet, when people join LeBron's team, they start to crumble. We'll compare that to Jordan in a little bit, but first, let's take a look at numbers from recent games. When the Cavs got blown out in Game 6, which should have been the last game of the series if the other games hadn't been heavily favored in LeBron's direction by the referees, but anyways, let's get back on track. Announcers like to put on the screen the numbers and that LeBron didn't get any help. Well, let's jump over to the Jazz victory over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Donovan Mitchell's numbers are, of course, much higher than the rest of the teams. He's the leader. He's the scorer. But you don't hear anyone saying that he didn't get any help. Help comes in many different forms. But if we switch the role of Donovan Mitchell and LeBron James, where the league is trying to herald this guy as the best ever, then you would start hearing dramatic stuff such as Donovan Mitchell carrying the Jazz on his shoulders once again, blah, blah, blah. Instead of, look, he's the scorer and you have a cast. That's how it works. And to say that LeBron doesn't have a great cast is just idiotic. That is, again, brainwashing. Who of you would not like to have Kevin Love on their team? Who wouldn't want to have Kyle Korver on their team? Who wouldn't want to have George Hill on their team? Let's look at past. Who wouldn't want to have Dwayne Wade or Chris Bosh or Ray Allen? Even the Birdman. Yes, please. I'll take him. He was scary, intimidating, and had a lot of energy and was a tenacious defender. Is he a superstar? No. Would I turn him down? No. Kyrie Irving, I think even Cavs fans have to admit, won LeBron well, and a little help from Adam Silver also. And they tried again to make a super mega ultra team with Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, Isaiah Thomas, Darren Williams, and it didn't work. And of course, everybody was quick to blame all the other guys, but not LeBron, even though Isaiah Thomas was the Boston Celtics. He carried the Boston Celtics, yet magically, when he is with LeBron, he's garbage. And how about Dwayne Wade? When they traded Dwayne Wade back to the Miami Heat, this old man managed to get the Heat into the playoffs. Injury-prone Derrick Rose was obviously a risk, but it was a risk they took, and it could have worked in their favor. And he seems to be reviving his career in Minnesota now. When you hear announcers say things such as that LeBron didn't have any help, you draw a picture in your mind that all of the players on LeBron's team are no good, that he has no talented individuals with him, which simply isn't the case. It also creates the assumption that all the other teams in the NBA do have great help, and he's the only one suffering from this sort of thing. So let's take a look at the type of help on other teams and see just how bad off LeBron is. The entire league would take too long, and since LeBron just has to get out of the pathetic East, let's compare to who he has to compete against in the pathetic East. J.R. Smith is both a shooting guard and a small forward, so let's compare the small forward position. J.R. Smith gets a lot of flack, and a lot of people say he's too streaky or whatever. Okay, so it's honesty time. Are you going to sit here and tell me that you would not want to have J.R. Smith on your team? Compared to, let's say, well, let's go over to the Celtics. Jason Tatum, sure, he shows promise, but did you care who he was prior to these playoffs? Is he the difference maker? Put him on LeBron's team, and all he'll be doing is taking blame. Marcus Morris. small forward on the Celtics. Okay, so now that they're in the playoffs, some people are starting to know who Marcus Morris is. Prior to that, nobody. Come on. Are you telling me that if you swapped roles and had Marcus Morris on LeBron's team, suddenly we wouldn't be hearing this shit about he doesn't have help? Let's continue over. Let's look at the Raptors. Okay, small forward on the Raptors. We have OG Anunoby. Oh, yeah, OG Anunoby. That's who the difference maker would have been. Jumping over to the Pacers. Okay, you have Lance Stevenson. Thaddeus Young. Okay. These guys had some good moments during these playoffs, but are you once again telling me that that is the reason LeBron isn't winning, because he has J.R. Smith instead of Lance Stevenson and Thaddeus Young? Look, the entire Pacers roster, with the exception of Stevenson, whom we know because of the ear-blowing episode, the entire roster is a bunch of people that you have never heard of until these playoffs. And LeBron barely beat them. And yet we're going to talk about how LeBron doesn't have help against Pacers, and we don't know who the fuck any of them are? Let's go down to the Heat. Obviously, I'm starting in the East. That just seems appropriate. Okay, James Johnson for the Heat. Oh, right. James Johnson. There's a household name for you. Let's jump over to the Detroit Pistons. We have Stanley Johnson and Reggie Bullock. Stanley Johnson and Reggie Bullock. Now, LeBron definitely just needed those guys to be his small forwards instead of J.R. Smith. How about on the 76ers? As a small forward, we're looking at Marco Bellinini and Robert Covington. Bellinini and Covington, both good players. Are you telling me that that's the difference? You want to swap out J.R. Smith with those guys, and then that is going to be help now? That's going to finally qualify as help for LeBron? Or as soon as they go over there, are they once again going to no longer be good enough? Let's go over to the Bucks. Okay, who have we got? We've got, for small forward, we've got Jabari Parker, and we have the Greek Freak. All right, so everyone, of course, you're going to say, sure, I'll take the Greek Freak. All right, so now, once again, we're admitting that in order for LeBron to quote-unquote have help, you have to have the best in the NBA. You have to have the superstars. Are you the best player on the planet or not? Can you carry a team or not? Can you make your role players rise, or do you hold their careers down? Kevin Love was a franchise player until he went and joined LeBron. Chris Bosh was a franchise player until he went and joined LeBron. Dwayne Wade was already an NBA champion on his own, with a myriad of playoff experience under his belt. Ray Allen, already a champion with a myriad of playoff experience under his belt. Both of them Hall of Famers. Ray Allen was the best three-point shooter in the world at the time. That's all the kind of help that LeBron gets. But of course, now that Kevin Love is with LeBron, he's a disappointment. Even Chris Bosh, when he was with the Heat, people said he wasn't producing. Dwayne Wade, they called an old man, past his prime. Let's take a look at this old man. Let's take another look at some of LeBron's current help, such as Kyle Korver, who is basically completely looked over. Let's see what he's got under his belt. He is just a former NBA All-Star. He was just the 2006 NBA leader in free throw percentage, the 2016-17 NBA leader in three-point percentage, the 2014-15 leader in NBA three-point percentage, 13-14 NBA leader in three-point percentage, 2009-10 leader in three-point percentage. My God. He has the NBA record for highest three-point shooting percentage in a regular season. But that guy's no help. LeBron owes Ray Allen for that championship, by the way. All right, so now for the Michael Jordan comparisons. Let's look at what Michael Jordan was able to do with his supporting cast. Michael Jordan did not have superstar teams formed for his sake, Michael Jordan was drafted onto a team, and then that team grew and blossomed. It's very easy to say that Kerr, Kukoc, Pippen were as important to Michael Jordan as LeBron superstars are to him, but the thing is, none of those guys were superstars prior to Michael Jordan, and they weren't superstars after Michael Jordan, unless you count that Steve Kerr got a ring with the Spurs afterwards. But with that exception, these guys were nobody before Michael, and they were nobody after Michael. I'm sorry, Dennis Rodman did already have rings before joining with Michael Jordan, but then his career fell apart, his life fell apart. Nobody wanted Dennis Rodman, yet he was successful with the Bulls, which is part of the point I'm making. People thrive under great leaders. Or are you going to have the nerve to talk about Luke Longley or Bill Winnington? Are those the reasons that Michael Jordan was able to win? Horace Grant, great player, not a superstar. Bill Paxson? Without Michael Jordan, would anyone know who Bill Paxson was? Tony Kukoc, great player, came over from abroad. Without Michael Jordan, would anyone know who he is today? Point being that superstars grew and emerged around Michael Jordan. With LeBron, superstars that already exist and who have already established themselves are recruited to lift LeBron James and actually crumble in his presence career-wise. Jordan did more with less, while LeBron has done less with more. But the brainwashing that you get from journalists and the media in a league that just wants you to like LeBron James would have you think that LeBron doesn't have help, while LeBron has had insane amounts of help. He's just not a good leader, and he doesn't have the heart of a champion. And that's where the next video will take us. An argument that LeBron could be said to be the best facilitator, an incredible role player, but not the best player ever.